on Cutie Pie's lineup, a team we haven't seen yet this week. We have, of course, Blem. We've got Grigney jungling this week, KT Smurf in the mid lane, Zerbic as ADC, and I'm a Cutie Pie. Ever charitable, I'm a Cutie Pie, offering to play support this week. We see the quick Blitzcrank ban coming out. Azir banned away from Strompus. No surprise there. He was pretty dominant in the first game. RF Legendary, not quite sure what to ban against this lineup. Do you take away Annie and Lee Sin from Blem, Looks like Lee Sin coming out. Pretty good standard ban, in addition to being an excellent target ban for both Blem and Grigney. But it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the bans they opt for are. Obviously, they have one left. Are they going to take away Blem's Annie? I'm guessing if they don't, he will most likely play it in the top lane. Pretty standard bans from a Cutie Pie side. The first team we've seen ban out Lissandra, although, to be fair, Lissandra has never been picked this week, so interesting choice of ban. Maybe they're just afraid of that all-in kind of aggressive strategy coming out from Trick2g's side. RF Legendary hesitating on this last ban. His Nidalee has not yet been banned away, nor has his Rek'Sai. So these are the two champions we've seen him play so far, and obviously the two champions he's most comfortable with at this point. So will he get another split-pushing sort of champion? Trick2g's Udyr not banned away either, so they opt, as far as I can tell, to not use their last ban. So definitely not sure, either not sure what to ban or playing some hefty mind games here. Baiting Blem to pick Annie, I think, is more what it's about. So will Blem ban away Trick2g's Udyr? Will he ban away, this Nidalee pick or this Rek'Sai pick? There's not really a whole lot of options. They ban away Strompus, Vigar, and I wouldn't be surprised here if RF Legendary immediately snagged that Nidalee pick or that Udyr pick for Trick2g. A lot of their favorite comfort champions are available right now. And no, ladies and gentlemen, Fabi the Draven God has gotten Draven, and unless they plan to respond by immediately taking Udyr and Nidalee away from RF Legendary and Trick2g, it looks like Trick2g's team is going to get to play the game that they want to play. What could they possibly pick? I'm guessing Annie for Blem. He plays two champions, Lee Sin and Annie. And Lee Sin's banned, so I would just assume that they're going to pick Annie, but, I could be wrong. They also didn't ban Trick2g's Udyr or Rek'Sai or Draven from Fabi, so maybe everybody this game is just going to get to play what they want to play. So it'll be interesting to see what Blem and Grigney opt to decide here. I think it's a little aggressive giving Fabi his Draven. Obviously a champion he's incredibly comfortable on. A champion he has never gotten to play. It has literally been banned away from him every game up until this one. And he's participated in all of the games, or just about all of the games. Or he's been on one team every week since the start of this tournament. So he's seen the majority of games, almost 9 now. Or we'll see 9 by the end of this week, and this is the first time he's gotten to pick up Draven. Blem opting for that Thresh pick, going straight to I'm a Cutie Pie. I'm a Cutie Pie, not known as a Thresh player, but, who knows? The man could bust it out here. The J4 pick in the jungle, I did mention earlier, this is kind of the standard safe jungle pick. Doesn't really have any weaknesses, scales pretty well into the late game. Overall, a solid pick. Will Trick2g opt to pick up Udyr here? Maybe not the best against J4, because J4 can just trap him in that Cataclysm, but still obviously Trick2g's favorite character, and definitely cannot be underestimated at any point. May opt to go Vi here, a pretty solid choice, or Poppy. I don't even know. Caster's Curse. I'm not even going to talk about what they're going to pick until they lock it in, but I would be surprised if we did not see their comfort picks coming out pretty quickly here. Trick2g now locking in that Udyr, of course, not afraid of getting locked in that Cataclysm. Definitely wants to play Udyr, definitely wants to split push, and that Janna pick coming in fast for 9JX down there in the bot lane. 9JX, of course, not normally a support player, but showed some pretty solid proficiency in that in the game against Voyboy's squad. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares on this champion. Obviously a very safe, very strong pick. Zerbic, of course, opting for that Graves again. Not a champion that he played particularly well on. Did utilize that burst really well at level 6 to get some early kills, but scaling into the late game didn't quite have the results he wanted. So interesting fact, Zerbic has played for both of these teams tonight, of course, because Fabi wasn't able to attend the first games, and I think Zerbic was on Trick2g's lineup earlier in the night. So interesting swap back and forth here. One of the tough parts about all these challenger players around these holiday season, not able to get quite the reliable schedule they want to play these games, but Zerbic, of course, second game of the night on the opposite side, is going to opt, it looks like, for this Corki pick. A very safe AD carry will get him through the mid game, but can he survive the early game against Fabi's Draven? That remains to be seen. And of course, Fabi's Draven with that Janna shield, particularly scary. KT Smurf on this Syndra. KT Smurf This is one of his most comfortable champions. It's not one of his most played, but it's definitely something he's been playing a lot recently. 3-0 recently in solo queue with it. Very comfortable on it. Strumpus looks like he may get this Fizz here. I wouldn't be too surprised to see it. Of course, that playful tricks are able to deny all of Syndra's ult damage, and despite the fact that Fizz will be pretty behind in the early game, once he gets that Sheen, once he gets that Lich Bane, he's going to be able to pretty safely 1v1 KT Smurf in most situations. 9JX hovering over that Cho'Gath. I'm guessing that they are going to opt to pick Rek'Sai here, and that 9JX may not have it, but we'll see how that turns out as we move forward. Definitely, RF Legendary has really enjoyed playing Rek'Sai, and the Rek'Sai Udyr synergy is really strong, especially because Trick2g is able to pick, to lock in that or to stun him down, and then Rek'Sai is able to knock him up. But 9JX does opt to lock in the Cho'Gath, so Cho'Gath, not a character we've seen a whole lot of recently, or really at all. So not a very mobile character, but definitely a very safe laner. Not at all what we would normally expect from RF Legendary. So this could just be a strategic change here for the team. And I'm curious to see exactly how they use this pick. Once again, I said it's not something we've seen a whole lot of, so I'm not exactly sure what they want to do with it. Obviously, the feast cooldown is now halved whenever he feasts a minion or monster, so that's pretty strong, and that will mean that feast is going to be up in just about every team fight. In addition, for him to be able to scale that up and get the maximum value from that health gain from feast. So, once again, these teams are both a little bit crazy. I'm more than anything really surprised that Fabi got that Draven and that Trick2g is on Udyr, but RF Legendary not opting to go Nidalee and not opting to go Rek'Sai is really surprising to me. So Imaqtpie looks like he's going to snag that Riven for Blim. Blim does in fact play Riven. That is his third most played champion, and I think as expected, it's more likely that Rek'Sai or that Cho'Gath pick is actually a Rek'Sai, and that they pinged each other about it in chat. And it turns out that yes. So for those of you who are wondering, the Cho'Gath is in fact Rek'Sai. Cho'Gath is in fact Rek'Sai, and we don't actually have a picture for that on the overlay, so as we have to jump through and run through champion select here to make sure that everybody gets the champions they want. Keep in mind that oh, it is working. So we actually have a Rek'Sai picture, so now I don't have to explain to you that Aatrox is Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai is Rek'Sai. That third ban slot that's missing is nothing, as it's supposed to be, which is odd, and no one really understands that. So just jumping right back in, these are two very strong lineups. I'm not exactly sure how Rek'Sai is going to fare against Riven in that early game. Riven obviously able to all in very easily at level 3, at level 2, and even at level 1 able to play pretty well. So, but he's also against Blem, and Blem is a man of very few champions, but those few champions he does play, he plays incredibly, incredibly well. So we'll see how it goes. And there is he did note in the chat, Blum did note in the chat that Riven equals Malphite. So I'm not sure if he's 100% serious about that. I'm guessing that Riven equals Riven, but you may see that last second swap. We'll wait to see exactly how that works out. But regardless, Trick2g's lineup is locked in. We see Trick2g on Udyr, the God Ear, something he is incredibly, incredibly comfortable with. And we actually are jumping right back out of Champion Select on my side, so it'll be interesting to see what they pick out. But Trick2g's lineup, once again, Jaina in that bot lane, paired with Fabi, the indomitable Draven player. Strompest in the mid lane on that Fizz, a very comfortable Fizz player, and what I would say is an advantage in the mid to late game. Of course, maybe not the best in the early game just because of Syndra's range and ease at which she can harass, but, pretty solid matchup overall. Trick2g's lineup, a lot of comfort picks, a lot of safe picks for them, and it looks like we're having a little bit of connection issues as players are trying to jump into this Champion Select to get started. And on the opposite side, we see a very strong hard engage. We see Riven, we see J4 paired with this Thresh. Obviously, all very strong hard engage players looking to all in. Corgi, of course, able to back it up with some solid pokes. Syndra able to back it up with that ultimate for maximum damage. And, of course, that Scatter the Weak for the long-range stun. Once again, it looks like Trick2g's team is most likely going to opt to try to split push out these lanes. And it'll be interesting to see exactly how Imaqtpie's squad opts to deal with this. So, before we get into these games, that's pretty much what we're waiting to see. So I think we're gonna cut to a quick break here as we wait for this Champion Select to get sorted out. We will have a little bit more than a 3-minute spectator delay just because we are having struggling to get into these games. But we'll see how this works out. We'll be back in just a couple minutes, guys. Final game of the evening in the Omen encounter, we have Trick2g's squad on the blue team. And then, of course, on the red team, we do have Blem and the boys. Cutie Pie's team officially, but I'm a big Blem fan, so I'm going to call it Blem's team just for that one instance. So, one thing I would like to note is that Blem did, in fact, pick Malphite. It looked like he locked in Riven on our end, but he, because we were naming picks, he, of course, just said that Riven was equal to Malphite. So that is a Malphite pick, not a Riven pick. Cutie Pie's team looking for this this early invade. 9JX looks like he might get caught out here. Cutie Pie, is he going to go for the Thresh Hook? Does he have the confidence? No, it looks like he's not even going to try to throw it there. Instead, they're just opting to roam through this jungle as a squad and try to get as much early vision control as possible. Trick2g's team obviously very aware of it, backing off. Meanwhile, on the top side, we do see RF Legendary opting for that ward on Krugs, just like he did in the last game where he started. Interesting decision to opt to get Rek'Sai this game instead of Nidalee, despite the fact that Nidalee was open. And I think a lot of that is because we have seen RF Legendary and Trick2g pair together really well in the past with this Udyr and with this Rek'Sai pick. So, really expecting a lot of things coming in from the top lane. Really expecting a lot of early game pressure to go down there as well. RF Legendary and Trick2g, of course, excellent synergy, two players who play together a lot, and I would say definitely the core of this team. Strompus in the mid lane on Fizz, looking to have a bit of a weaker early game, balanced out by an amazing mid game power spike, and then, of course, Fabi, master of Draven as far as anyone in North America is concerned. I'm expecting big things from him because one of the things that I know is that, looks like he might get a little bit of damage out here. The Krug start's not looking so viable when you got 3 people in that jungle. Fabi instead going to opt to go to lane. And of course, Cutie Pie's squad going to opt to start to steal that buff. Trick2g, though, not too phased. Going to start with his own blue. Udyr, obviously a very strong jungler, did opt to start Phoenix stance in this specific case. And is going to be able to clear much, much more safely than Jarvan. So Fabi and 9JX a little behind in this initial phase, but nothing to be too concerned about. It'll be interesting to see how Fabi performs here. And, you know, he is hyped up as one of the best Draven players, if not the best Draven player in North America. So, you know, a lot of pressure is on him to have good results in the spot lane. RF Legendary did opt to start on that Gromp. Did so pretty successfully, burned that teleport to get back to lane. But not a huge disadvantage here if he doesn't get caught out early. Fabi doing an immense amount of damage there with this single axe to Cutie Pie's Thresh. 9JX looks like he might get caught out a bit. Some minor trading going on in the bot lane, nothing too big, nothing too crazy. But, you know, a lot of this is going to come down to early game vision control and early game rotations. You do see Trick2g opting to go immediately for the enemy red. No surprise there. Doesn't want to, you know, give the enemy a 3-buff start. Doesn't want to give them that huge EXP advantage, and can do so pretty safely because Jarvan has such huge mana constraints in the early game that if he wants to clear the jungle reliably, he does have to go to that blue buff. So Trick2g opting to steal the red. Both teams have stole the opposing team's red buff. No surprises there. Syndra in the mid lane also playing hyper aggressive. Looks like she's going to try to get a ward on this top side here, deny the Udyr coming in, but Trick2g is right there. And it looks like they're going to go in on KT Smurf almost immediately. KT Smurf flashes, but gets stunned by that auto-talk regardless and goes down immediately. Strompus, this is the early game advantage that he wanted. Excellent play from Trick2g to roam into that mid lane. Awkward flash from KT Smurf. You know, got hit by that stun as he flashed, and so, you know, the stun wasn't canceled and the flash wasn't canceled, so he only moved a very small amount of space. Good kill, though, will shore up a lot of the early game weaknesses that Fizz is going to have in this lane, and things are going to start to go downhill really quickly for KT Smurf if he can't get this advantage back, and if, you know, Grigny can't put the same amount of pressure on mid lane that Trick2g has. Trick2g now free to clear his own jungle, has offered enough pressure, and then RF Legendary, level 4 to Blem's level 4. I think in the early game, Rek'Sai is just going to take this. Obviously, this isn't a lane we have seen a whole ton of in any kind of competitive play, but Rek'Sai is very strong in these situations and obviously has a lot more wave clear than Malphite in a lot of these situations. The one downside that RF Legendary may have is that he is extending pretty deep here to proxy this top lane wave, and Grigny should be top shortly to respond to it. But at the same time, you know, he also has a lot of escape options because he is Rek'Sai, and those tunnels are very strong for mobility. But they are converging on him in this top lane. It'll be interesting to see exactly how this works out. RF Legendary going to try to go over the wall. Does know Grigny is there. Going to try to burst Grigny down here. May be successful. So much damage coming out there. Blem not level 6. No way to get over that wall short of using Flash. And RF Legendary almost walking away with the kill despite 2 people being sent top to deal with them. And this is one of the big things that we've seen from Trick2g's team consistently is enemy teams overusing and overcommitting resources to these split pushers or to these high pressure laners. So if this continues, and it continues to happen the way it did for Cutie Pie's squad, we may see this game go in the favor of Trick2g's squad, but if they, you know, once Malphite gets 6, if they can follow up the Malphite out with the Jarvan ult, we will see a lot better play. KT Smurf doesn't have Flash this time. Trick2g uses his own to get in there, may go down here to this Ignite. It looks like KT Smurf's going to get that double kill. So remember that early game advantage I talked about Fizz having? Yeah, well, it kind of just got deleted by that double kill. Good play coming out from KT Smurf. A little too aggressive from Trick2g to flash in there. And of course, Stromp is tanking some tower shots he did not need to. Trick2g trying to heal up in those last couple seconds with Turtle Stance to no avail. So great individual mechanical play from KT Smurf, and overall just solid play from the team so far. It'll be interesting to see exactly how they deal with RF Legendary split pushing in the top lane. 12 CS up already. It's only 6 minutes in the game, so definitely looking like a more dominant laner. We have mentioned in the past that Blem does have a pretty weak champion pool. You know, he plays a couple champions really well. And I mean, out of this world, those couple champions, Lee Sin and Annie. But other than that, he's kind of limited. And Riven is another champion he plays, but instead of opting for Riven, he did opt to go Malphite. So definitely going to see some weakness coming out here from Blem as far as comfort goes. But, you know, Malphite within himself does have a lot of strength here. Fabi getting caught out, does have to flash away from the EQ combo from Jarvan there. Trading back some damage but not getting too much. That horrible Rek'Sai scream doesn't mean much for those of you who haven't seen RF Legendary play this champion before. Uses it a lot for mobility. Kind of uses it like a 1 minute TP cooldown to get back to top lane. So, you know, keep that in mind. He does have absolute tunnel control on that top side. You can see all those little purple circles are tunnels, giving him that much more as far as mobility options go. And it looks like he's immediately going to go back to the proxying this wave, knowing that, you know, if Jarvan does opt to go top, he's mostly pretty safe. Obviously, they have a lot of burst damage there, but Grigney was just on the bottom side of the map, so he doesn't have too much to be worried about. And you can see that he has bought a few more wards this time, and you know, now that he knows Jarvan is in that level, or getting closer to level 6, and Malphite has level 6 himself, he's playing a little bit more safe and getting a little bit more vision control in a lot of these situations. Looks like he is stealing away the Krugs there, which is going to be huge, and it looks like the bot lane, despite the fact that Fabi is obviously a very confident Draven player, is going in favor of Corki, Zerbeck, and Imaqtpie's Thresh play, which is a bit surprising given that Imaqtpie has never been a support player. Fabi, although looking almost immediately to hard engage there, is denied that second axe, which is going to play in huge for them, and of course Zerbeck does Valk away, keeping himself safe. Stromp is now level 6. This is where this mid lane matchup may start to turn in his favor. He does have that huge mid-game power spike with the fish, and of course that level 3 playful trickster is going to do so much damage and going to deny so much of Syndra's damage. So we'll see exactly how that works out. Trick2g once again going for mobility boots here, knowing that the most he can do for his team is to provide pressures in these lanes. Gonna go for that blue buff pretty shortly here. It'll be interesting to see if he does opt to give it to Fizz. Fizz not having a whole ton of mana regeneration outside of these Doran's Ring, and of course Syndra at a little bit of an advantage, has opted to get this Chalice, giving her a little bit of MR and a lot of sustained mana regeneration. RF Legendary, looks like he's trying to ignore Blem to hit the tower here. The tower has gone increasingly low. Blem not really having any solid wave clear options in a lot of these situations, just because, you know, he's early game Malphite. It costs a lot of mana to sustain wave clear that, and he's much more interested in these mid-game team fights, but once again, we kind of saw that mismatch last time when RF Legendary was playing Nidalee against Maokai, and this is a situation that RF Legendary is comfortable. You see, once again, Trick2g stealing away that red buff on the top side, but of course, Imaqtpie's team also have stolen away that red buff on the bottom side of the map. So, no surprises there. That dragon is being gone for, though they do know a lot of the pressures in mid lane, or a lot of pressures on the top side of the map. They will get that dragon for free, most likely, as they continue this, although they don't really have the damage to take it very safely. So it's good that they got it as stealthily as they did. Good dragon timing, opting to go when most of the enemy's team was on the top side of the map or backing after that early game aggression from Zerbeck and Imaqtpie. Good, excellent read from Imaqtpie's team to grab that dragon, but they did give up, and they traded buffs back and forth. So overall, still really excellent play. But once again, like, look at that top side. Look how much of that is purple. Look how much control Rek'Sai has over that lane, despite the and Blem is quickly going in this situation. So he can ult here if he wants, but he's not going to have any follow-up outside of the turret damage. He has to be incredibly careful, and this is, I think, how we're going to see this top lane go a lot until we get into the mid-game and until Blem can, you know, rotate out of this top lane, get into these team fights, and avoid these little one-on-one engages and avoid a lot of the laning phase pressure that RF Legendary is going to pick out here. And we're going to see him pretty quickly take down that top turret. It was very low, and of course, with no Malphite there to defend it, and even with a Malphite there to defend it, those minions are going to do a significant amount of damage. So, purple tunnel control on the top side from RF Legendary is insane. A little bit of vision control there too, but with so much mobility, even if Jarvan and you know, Malphite decide to ult him, unless they can burst him down in a single instance, RF Legendary has so many tunnel options for Rek'Sai that his mobility is just absurd. He can probably get the equivalent of like 5 or 6 flashes in mobility just from the amount of tunnel he has, which is way too much for a Jarvan or a Malphite to keep up with. A lot of pressure coming out in the mid lane. PewDiePie has opted to roam mid. Fabi, however, taking full advantage of this. Rek'Sai once again teleporting top to apply pressure. Fabi weaving in and out of turret angle. Does use that ult. They do use that tornado to zone out, and 9GX will pick up that kill. Fabi probably upset that he didn't get a cash out there. Cashing out obviously very huge from Draven, and he's in a bit of a tough spot here. Draven does not have flash, but Fabi is a pretty confident player looking to duel this out instead of looking to get any kills here. The box coming in pretty huge. KT Smurf on the way. Fabi has just a very small period of time to do anything here. KT Smurf does pick up that kill. Brigny using that ult to collapse on XJ9. 9JX, sorry. Not XJ9. Through Splitstorm. Trick2g himself running and flashing and getting that kill. Lots of blood here. Strumpus does have his ultimate available. Isn't going to opt to use it. A little bit of a misread on Imaqtpie on that hook there. Maybe a little bit of that East Coast lag. Who knows? Maybe a little bit of a wrong prediction, but overall, pretty solid exchange for Trick2g's team. Despite losing 2, they do have still exerted an immense amount of pressure in this top lane. But those are the kind of fights that I think they have to be careful about fighting. Fabi, obviously very confident duelist there, and as he gets more damage, that's going to go more and more in his favor. And if Brigny misses another EQ combo like that to go in on these fights, he doesn't have the damage to out-trade this Draven or to out-duel this Draven in any circumstance. So they have to be very, very careful. Throw out that fish there from Strumpus, but they're not going to follow that up at all. A little bit too risky at that point. They know better than to underestimate KT Smurf at this point after that failed dive early. RF Legendary stealing away Gridney's jungle, using that tunnel to get out. A little bit too much mobility. They will destroy the tunnel, but at this point, might be too little too late. 9JX playing very aggressive, trying to get down that topside map ward. Imaqtpie trying to stop RF Legendary from roaming around and trolling his team at this point functionally. Just so much mobility from that Rek'Sai. Such a dangerous pick, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this banned in competitive play just for shenanigans like that. I mean, he's got this Tiamat at this point. The Tiamat combined with the Q there, always going to be able to push that wave. And there's really not a whole lot that Blem on Malphite is going to be able to do this. So, you know, overall, really, really tough spot for PewDiePie's team to be in. And I don't know if they're going to have the level of decisiveness that Voyboy's team had in some of those engages to get this mid-game advantage. Blem getting collapsed on here. Does still have his ultimate available. Can use it to run away or engage on RF Legendary if RF Legendary decides to dive. But it looks like RF Legendary is totally comfortable just winning those small engages, poking Blem down, and knowing that at some point Blem is going to have to back, and when he does, he will be able to reliably get that top lane turret. Meanwhile, the rest of PewDiePie's team focusing their attention on the bottom side of the map, looking to like they might want to contest this red buff. Trick2g, of course, picking it up pretty easily. 9JX dodging the Imaqtpie hook. And it looks like, once again, PewDiePie's team is going to opt to try to take a dragon and maybe give up a tower in exchange. Of course, RF Legendary has a lot of options as far as where he can push, does have that vision control on the top side of the map, and Blem without a TP is going to be hard-pressed to get back to that lane in time to stop RF Legendary from pushing it out and at least getting some tower damage, if not taking the tower out. Fabi, ever hungry for that kill, really looking to cash out all those Draven stacks. League of Draven, of course, a very, very powerful passive. KT Smart getting engaged on here by Strumpus. Has to be careful, though. Did use the playful trick to dodge. Something that wasn't the ultimate, basically. And Strumpus, of course, once again, playful trickster up. Is level 9, so he does have max rank in that, and the cooldown is incredibly low. They have to be careful how they play this, though. Blem not looking to give up their red buff to RF Legendary, but RF Legendary doesn't seem too concerned by Blem, despite the fact that Blem has had Sunfire Cape and can potentially outduel him. Of course, Blem giving up almost all of his mobility there to try to chase RF Legendary, and RF Legendary still has a lot of tunnel escape options. Blem desperately chasing, but not a whole lot going to come of that. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Fabi and 9JX are able to pick up that tower, and excellent play from them, putting that amount of pressure on the bot lane. Fabi, of course, still hungry for that kill. And in the mid lane, though, Imaqtpie's team responds. Imaqtpie, Grigny, and KT Smurf utilizing the, you know, the lack of presence in mid lane from the enemy team to get that turret pretty handily, pretty easily. Overall, not quite the level of aggression that we see in a lot of these games. A lot less kills, a lot more rotational play, a lot more pressure plays, and not quite the level of vision control we see in these games either. You do see a lot of emphasis on bottom side vision control from PewDiePie's squad, but on the other side, you do see all of the pressure being put out in the top lane by RF Legendary, and of course Rek'Sai not needing quite as much vision to split push safely, simply because of his passive tremor sense when he's underground. At this point, you do see, however, a lot of people in the Trick2g lineup mobilizing and moving towards that bot lane, not necessarily looking to give up another dragon for free. They too would certainly enjoy those dragon buffs, and they have yet to get one. Fabi, of course, on that Draven, does have a lot of stacks for League of Draven, looking to cash out. As I mentioned before, that's one of the big things about Draven as a champion is that, you know, you may have taken a lot of damage out of that passive when they remove the bleed, but the potential for him to snowball, if he can get a couple early kills, is just insane, because he's going to be able to get he's going to be able to reach 6 items so much faster if they're engaging in a lot of these fights. And of course, Trick2g's team does love to fight, loves to split push more. Stromp is going in there full aggressive, using the fish. Playful Trickster over the wall. Greeny will get pulled out there. Fabi running and getting the cash out. 418 gold, I believe, just from the cash out. So, immense amount of spike there. Huge potential now for him to rush items. And of course, the team instantly following it up with a Dragon. RF Legendary has opted to rotate down, did use that TP to get here, and then immediately it's probably going to go back into that top lane if his team doesn't opt to push this mid lane. Does, of course, have ultimate available as well, and keep in mind that he can teleport to any of those tunnels in the top lane at any time. And that cooldown gets lower and lower. We do see him now ulting up into the top lane to push that wave out, knowing that his team doesn't quite have enough pressure to push out this mid lane, and wanting to play careful against Blem on this Malphite. Obviously, Malphite able to initiate team fights anytime on his terms, and you know, offering a lot of CC to the enemy team as a whole. So, excellent play from Trick2g's lineup to get that pick. Good play from Fabi. Did have to burn that flash, but now you see that instant Zeal buy coming out from him almost entirely because of that kill. And of course, with that early game Dragon, he's going to have so much more AD. Well, not so much more, 6% more, but still substantial. Strompus once again hungry for that Grigny kill, was denied last time. Trick2g there to follow up and make sure he gets it. Strompus flashing over the wall. Will have that Playful Trickster cooldown shortly and is able to get out safely. So excellent play from Trick2g and from Strompus to get that kill. And Trick trying to just going off here, you know, 2-1-1 is running. Now looks like he might try to focus as much of the team as possible. Imaqtpie missing play, though Scatter of the Week does hit Trick2g. Trick2g flashing out and switching immediately to Bear Stance to try to get that movement speed. Blem trying to chase, but meanwhile in that mid lane, the split push pressure there, known from 2 turrets picked up in quick succession. One from Fabi and Jaina in the mid lane, and one from RF Legendary on that Rek'Sai in the top. So a little bit of overextension, and once again, we talked about this before, so many resources burned for so few people. Trick2g and Strompus, of course, in the bot lane. They got the single Strompus kill, but they gave up 3 turrets for it, and then stayed far too long to trace out Trick2g, but this is what Trick2g does. He opens the gates, and he plays so phenomenally in these split push scenarios, and he uses his vision control so well to try to, you know, just create so much pressure. And one thing to keep in mind was they traded 1-for-1 in the kills. They did get that Jarvan kill, and the enemy team, of course, got that Strompus kill, but just isn't going to matter nearly as much as all those turrets. And you see 6k gold up for Trick2g's squad, and despite the fact that Strompus is down 50 farm in the mid lane, it doesn't matter. Fabi coming in huge on this Draven, doing so much damage with each and every one of those axes. Does have that Zeal, does have that Infinity Edge. Once again, able to cash out. Obviously didn't have as much time to farm and as much time to stack up that passive, but still got an immense cash out for that. RF Legendary opting to go almost full AD here, getting that early Ravenous Hydra. Going to be able to pretty much split push and sustain forever at this point if he doesn't get caught out. And Trick2g on the opposite side, already picking up that elixir, knows that split pushing is working, knows that he wants to put more pressure on these towers. And Rek'Sai, once again, teleporting to this top side of this map, paired up with Strompus on that Fizz pick. Are they going to opt to try to get this kill on Blem? And if they do, how will the enemy team respond? We see Trick2g on Udyr in that bot side of the map doing so well. Strompus jumping in immediately on Blem. Blem does not have ultimate for a few more seconds. Will have it, though. But it looks like the team doesn't want to hard engage there. So much split pressure. Fabi risking getting caught out here in the mid lane. 9JX does get hooked. Could be bad for him. Scatter the Week coming out for Syndra. Syndra not able to respond, though, and Imaqtpie looking to pull someone in. Grigny coming over the wall for him. 9JX immediately flashing out. Not safe there for him. Solid, actually, thrust play from Imaqtpie there to pull in the teammate. Unfortunately, he didn't quite have the teammate follow-up that he wanted there. Grigny gonna once again try to take this Gromp. It's met him with near death the last few times. Trick2g laughing, knowing that Grigny knows that that's where he's gonna die if Strompus was there. But unfortunately, Strompus in the top lane. Once again, they're trying to split and provide as much pressure across the map as possible. This is Trick2g's style. He wants to split, he wants to open the gates, and he's going to do it. You know, waiting to burn that elixir. He still has that. You can see both him and RF Legendary both have 2 vision wards, and they're ready to continue to have vision control, to continue to monitor the way the enemy team is moving around the map. And it looks like KT Smurf not ready for Strompus to hard engage or ready for Fabi to go in there. The two of them doing so much burst damage, and of course, at this point, Fabi 2-1-3, 154 farm, slight lead over the Corkian farm, and massive lead over him and kills and assists. And when you take into account that passive, a lot of this gold lead makes sense. So what was once a very small gold lead is now almost a 10k gold lead. Strompus going to get hooked there. Not going to be too much follow-up viable, or too many viable options for follow-up there, as the Playful Trickster does get him out. Darude Splitstorm, Trick2g, Trick himself, splitting down that tower. Fabi, of course, doing a ton of damage, resetting that axe on the tower before he runs away, resetting that blood rush as well. And, you know, Imaqtpie fishing for these hooks, but it's clear that he's not quite as comfortable as a lot of the other champions in this, or as a lot of the other solo queue players here. Blem getting engaged on. Blem immediately going back for Strumpus, but Pie out of range for that hook, so not a whole ton of follow-up. RF Legendary, of course, still has that amazing tunnel network on the top side of the map, so no one's going to really be able to catch him. Trick2g once again getting a lot of focus down on him. The enemy team getting split back and forth between these teams. There is nowhere for them to engage in a 5v5 team fight. Strumpus immediately walking away from that Syndra ult, saying, you know, nice try, but Playful Trickster is just a little too strong for you. RF Legendary rushing right back up to the top lane to get the pressure there. They know all the ult cooldowns are down. Too many people have burned cooldowns trying to catch out single people, and the enemy team, or in Trick2g's team, doing too well at stopping this from happening. Strumpus immediately using Zanya's spread to check himself. He may go down here. 9JX using the Janna ultimate, as well as Fabi using the heal to get him out safely. But while they're 5 down in this bot lane, RF Legendary is meanwhile occupied in the top lane, pushing out these waves incredibly quickly with that Rabbitous Hydra buy, trying to catch Trick2g. Trick2g hitting him with the disrespect, reminding him who he is. He is the king, and he is going to run away. Trying to open the gates, but it looks like too many people, and that Jarvan ult I mentioned earlier was going to come into play here because it makes it impossible for Trick2g to juke a lot of these skill shot champions because he's just trapped in that little circle. So, and then once again, so despite Trick2g getting trapped, despite him dying, all that disrespect wasn't for nothing. RF Legendary is in the top lane. It looks like he will get this tower, maybe at the cost of his life. They do have to be careful, but it looks like more likely is that he's just going to jump through those, jump through all of those tunnels and pretty much run to safety here. Really hard to catch that Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai immediately channeling and running out. No options. Gets out, immediately takes this camp, heals up a little bit, and walks away. RF Legendary not worried about the enemy team. Good on him for recognizing that he was too far away for anyone to interrupt that 1.5 second channel time. Excellent escape overall. Blem, of course, not really wanting to follow up and risk his ultimate getting dodged there. Trick2g's team, you know, small kill lead, but kills aren't where it matters when it comes to playing Trick's team. It's all about turrets, it's all about objectives, and that sense is really important in these situations. Strumpus getting that blue buff pretty swiftly. And the team as a whole doing really well. Surprised we haven't seen Strumpus opt for that Lich Bane. Looking maybe for a little bit more upfront burst damage from the Fizz as opposed to the burst coming from the Lich Bane on that Urchin Strike. But overall, still I think solid build. Still obviously doing very well. 50% or 50 CS lead for Syndra on the opposite side, meaning almost nothing in this situation. And of course, yet another dragon for Trick2g's squad. So 2 dragons overall, not the most important one. 3 probably being the most important one for Trick2g's team, but definitely going to help a lot here. Going to help them get those towers down that much faster, provide that much more pressure for the team. And Trick2g playing absolutely just so confident here. Not so many people burning so many cooldowns, but once again, trading it for an inhibitor. So an excellent thing about watching Trick2g play is you got to remember that even if it looks like he's getting caught out by 5 people, he's doing it for a reason. And those 5 people aren't going to do a whole lot here. Especially when they all get caught out immediately in the mid lane, and then that inhibitor goes down as well. Big fight coming out here. Not a whole lot to say. Stomp is coming in strong. The whole team, the team as a whole, opting to fight, and Fabi going to do some work here. They do back off for a little bit, not wanting to push too hard in this situation, and overall, just really awkward spot for Imaqtpie's team to be in. Backing off. They are chasing here. I don't know if this is the best decision from them. Fabi, you know, does love these duels and will take this dueling opportunity. Zerbic, they do look like they want to back off here, and Rek'Sai opting to jump over the wall, and they are going to steal that blue buff away as well. So impressive play from the team as a whole. Grigny going pretty deep at this point, knowing that this is a good opportunity to get vision control, and we'll see exactly how it works out for them. Alright, so Fabi looks like, the enemy team looks like they want to catch out Fabi here, knowing it's not reliable to try to catch out Trick2g as there's too much split pressure, and obviously there's not a whole lot of pressure on the map at the moment for them. We do see Jarvan going in there. This could be rough for him. Grigny goes down almost immediately, just too much damage coming out from Fabi there. We see the TP coming in from RF Legendary. They do look like they want to rotate on this. Trick coming in from the side, RF Legendary coming in from the side. Looks like they want to lock this down. Imaqtpie looks like he's going to get caught out as Thresh. Not really a whole lot of options there. No flash, no ignite, no defensive cooldowns. He is going to go down pretty quickly. Zerbic, the next target of their focus. He does have heal. He may try to use it to get away here, but it looks like he's going to get away safely. Then, of course, Trump is coming in from the side. dangerous. KT snorkeling almost down immediately. While Azurbik goes down to RF Legendary. This is a huge, huge play from Trick2g squad. It looks like they might try to take down this mid lane. 3 members down on the opposing side. This is huge for them. Will they get this down? Yes, easily, no questions. Inhibitor 2, probably. Lem still does have ult, Grigney still does have ult, but are they going to engage here? Not likely. Their team, of course, backing off. Strumpus with the immediate zone. He has Trick2g with the immediate disrespect. Not worried about it. He says, yeah, you can have that kill. I still got that inhibitor. See ya. Strumpus may get picked out here, though. Unlikely, given that he has Playful Trickster. Probably just going to opt to jump over this wall. Glenn doesn't want to flash to pick him up. 9JX, RF Legendary, and Strumpus retreating is 3. Pretty safe play overall from them with 2 inhibitors down and Trick2g's team up 13k gold. How possibly could Imaqtpie squad come back? Well, they better be looking for some kind of pick here. And at this point, the vision control looks like it's greatly in Trick2g's favor, so it's going to be tough. Skeptical if they can come back, but at this point, they might just wait for Trick2g's team to try to attempt Baron, and if they do, that might be their big opportunity. You know, Baron obviously does a lot of damage in this current patch, and despite the fact that Trick2g's team could clear it pretty quickly, it does leave them very vulnerable to some counterplay. Blem, however, still doesn't have ult. It will come back pretty quickly given how much cooldown reduction he's built, 20% from the Frozen Heart, but overall, really rough for Imaqtpie's team, and you see RF Legendary immediately opting to split push down in that bot lane. 9JX caught out there a little bit. That's the kind of the pick they wanted. You know, Janna, not the ideal pick, but it will make Fabi that much harder to protect in these team fights. Fabi, of course, has Static Shift, Bloodthirster, and IE now, opting probably to go for that last Whisper next. RF Legendary seeing 3 people collapsing on him, Flash and uses that tunnel. Meanwhile, Trick2g's spot on the opposite side. Immediately going to take down that Baron in response. Good play coming out from them. This is exactly what they wanted. RF Legendary, seeing that all 3 people have backed off and are now going to check Baron, or going to defend their base, has immediately begun split pushing that bottom side. You can see now that the whole team trying to stop RF Legendary, but meanwhile that Baron has been taken, and Trick2g is just going to be able to walk in there and do a lot of work. Blem does have ult here. He has to be careful about when he uses it, though, because he does not want to just get tunneled away by RF Legendary and Trick2g. Trying to open the gates here. Risking getting caught out by a lot of CC. Does not have his flash cooldown available. May go down here, but Fabi providing so much damage over the wall. Trick2g does go down. RF Legendary not able to pick up that kill on Grigney despite immense amounts of damage. Grigney able to use that EQ to get out. RF Legendary immediately re-engaging, not wanting for that tunnel cooldown to come back. He uses his own, and Strumpus going in here as well. So much blood. Strumpus immediately pulling that kind of Messiah play where you jump in and immediately Zanya's, getting a lot of focus from the enemy team, allowing RF Legendary and 9JX to push that way up. Fabi doing so much damage. If he can get in range of this turret, they will be able to take it down very, very quickly. So solid play coming out from them. Fabi overall going to take down that turret in a couple shots. RF Legendary similarly has a lot of AD, and you can see Spiz, despite not building that Lich Bane, also able to chunk out those inhibitors. 3 inhibitors down, double super minion waves in each lane, Baron buff empowered minions. This is looking pretty grim. Sorry, top lane inhibitor yet to go down, but I imagine it'll go down pretty quickly here. RF Legendary looking like he's willing to give his life to get it, but doesn't even have to with that tunnel escape. Jarvan overextending a little bit here. Grigney will go down pretty quickly. Cataclysm will stay though and may keep his teammates safe. The whole team chasing down onto Strumpus. Strumpus leaping through with the Urchin Strike, dying Imaqtpie. Gotta get them kills, doesn't matter what role he's playing. And meanwhile, 3 members on the top side pushing in along with these massive super minion waves. Now there will be 2 in each wave, and they still have that Baron buff. Trick2g hitting him with a maximum disrespect, saying, oh, you want to go in on me? Well, probably going to see you later. Because despite the fact that Fabi went down there almost instantly, Trick2g and RF Legendary instantly going to take down those 2 towers in response. Looks like they don't even care about the enemy's damage. All the towers down, all the inhibitors down. You can see 11 towers. That's every single one in the game going down. Trick2g looking to get his X-Peke on here, open them gates, trying to take that down, running away. Grigney chasing as fast as he possibly can, trying to get that EQ combo. Does manage to hit Trick2g. Trick2g hitting him with the disrespect. And Rek'Sai immediately teleporting to that top lane. If they don't turn to answer this pick immediately, that Rek'Sai is going to take down the inhibitor. Going for that backdoor. No surprises here. RF Legendary, 29-minute game. Is he going to be able to get it? Looks like probably not. So much damage coming in from the enemy team. So many cooldowns burnt, though. RF Legendary leaping back and forth. Does get half health down. That will regenerate pretty quickly. And 3 members down for Trick2g's side. But with 3 inhibitors down for Imaqtpie's side, there's not going to be a whole lot they can do. You know, textbook Trick2g, textbook RF Legendary. Split push to win. This is their game. And at this point, Imaqtpie not only are on the back foot, they're basically on their backs. They're just waiting to see exactly how Trick2g's team is going to play this. And I mean, if they keep trying to send in these solo people to get that glorious X-Peke win, Imaqtpie's team may be able to come back, but a 13k gold lead in the favor of Trick2g's side. So even if they can force a 5-on-5 team fight, it's not going to matter. There's too much pressure in this base. you know, 6 super minions at a time. Trick2g's team gonna get that 3rd dragon, gonna get that movement speed buff, pretty much own all the jungle. And a lot of their characters are approaching, you know, that inevitable 6-item status. We do see Rek'Sai with that damage increasing elixir, and of course Fabi now having that last whisper means he's pretty much going to be able to solo kill this Malphite and this Jarvan pick. Corki forced onto that Blade of the Rune King. Not the most ideal Corki buy, definitely still a strong item, but when you're so far behind and when you have to be so careful about getting caught by this Rek'Sai and by this Udyr, you got to be careful. Trick Squad, seeing that inhibitor's back up, moving as a team to try to get it. They don't necessarily want the full team fight. The Nexus is going to go down if they're not careful. RF Legendary and Trick2g both just running at it, not worried about this overall. Whole team's running up. Compass, the team as a whole, looks like they're just running, picking up kills on the way if they can, but going for this Nexus, and they do take it down. That's Trick2g squad saying later to that I'm a cutie pie team. So overall, absolutely fantastic play, ladies and gentlemen. Just amazing games. This has been week 3, day 1 of the Omen encounter. I am your caster, Sifa, your one and only this evening. You can follow me at LOL_Sifa on Twitter if you enjoyed my casting or want to berate me for how terrible I did for talking for 2 hours straight. But just a reminder, guys, Trick2g's team did win out 2-1 tonight, looking super strong. Overall, love the team, but if you guys enjoyed the team and you want to see Trick2g able to keep picking RF Legendary, able to keep running these split push strats, head on over to OMEN.gg and vote. You can vote for the captain drafting order once per day, and every time you vote, you are entered to win a Omen notebook. So head on over there, get the chance to win a laptop, enjoy. I will see you back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. if you are on the East Coast. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.